up, Kryptonians? I have been out of commission, MIA, for the last few days. I was supposed to have this review up a few days ago, but I spaced out because I've been dealing with some personal shit that I may or may not reveal. Altered Carbon is a new sci-fi Netflix series, 10 episodes long, that is based off of a book written by Richard K. Moore, I think is his name. And in this series, it deals with the future. It takes place 350 years into the future. And by the way, before I go any further, I'm going to have no spoilers for this video because I know that not everybody has had a chance to see Altered Carbon yet. Usually it has to be a special occasion for me to spoil shit, and I don't think that Altered Carbon has been around long enough for me to spoil it. So I'm going to give you guys a chance to see it. You guys should see it, and then like it, or love it and hate it, and come back and watch this video, and I might do a spoiler video one day. But for now, no spoilers. Like I said, Altered Carbon takes place about 350 years in the future, and in the future there's alien technology that humans have adapted that's called stacks and sleeves. Stacks are basically these small little alien discs where you can put your memories and your consciousness and your heart and everything that was you can put them into this little disc, insert them into the back of your vertebrae at the base of your spine or something like that, or where your neck is, and then that means that anything can happen to your body, and as long as your stack remains intact, that body becomes a sleeve, and you can transition sleeves. And this is a way for human beings to basically, when they get hurt or when they get killed or when something happens to their bodies, they can transition their stacks to a different body, and this allows them to live longer. So the story follows Takashi Kovacs. Takashi Kovacs is a former mercenary freedom fighter who has been on ice for 250 years. His stack has not been used. His stack is called up and put into the body of a deceased police officer, and he is called up by this really rich asshole named Lawrence Bancroft. Lawrence Bancroft is a guy who thinks that somebody tried to kill him. And he wants Kovacs to try to solve his murder. He doesn't believe that he killed himself or anything. He wants Kovacs to solve his murder. If he does it, he gets out of prison and he gets a shit ton of money. There's a cop on the side played by Martha, starts with an H, I can't remember her last name. She plays a tough cop named Ortega, and that cop has a really weird interest in him and the case that he's trying to run. And so what we have here is a very complex and interesting mystery. You've probably heard this in a few of the reviews so far. Altered Carbon borrows heavily from the Blade Runner aesthetic. It looks like Blade Runner, it feels like Blade Runner in terms of tone. It has similar concepts to Blade Runner and really to a lot of the other sci-fis that you've seen in the past. But here's my thing. Why are we getting mad at a series for emulating greatness? If you're gonna emulate something, emulate greatness. And if you're gonna emulate greatness, make sure that you emulate it to the best of your ability. That's what Altered Carbon is. I mean, I look at Altered Carbon as the Kobe Bryant of sci-fi Netflix. Kobe Bryant is an all-time great player. He's a 5-time champion. He's a Hall of Famer. But guess what? His entire playing style is basically plagiarizing Michael Jordan. How many times over the years have we seen people trying to copy and emulate Michael Jordan? We've seen a whole bunch of players pop up and everybody's trying to be the next Michael Jordan, and there is no Michael Jordan. Guess what? Kobe Bryant is the closest thing we ever got to Michael Jordan. He walks like Michael Jordan. He talks like Michael Jordan. He has the same mannerisms. He has the same playing style. But guess what? He's not Michael Jordan, but he emulated him, he copied him, and he's still an all-time great player. So now people are going to be emulating him and Michael Jordan. I look at Altered Carbon the same way. It takes all the best things that I love about Blade Runner and other great sci-fi like it, and it incorporates it into a well-executed, well-acted story with great characters and tremendous visuals. It's all about the execution for the show, and this show executes everything that it's trying to execute at a very high level. There's nothing really fresh or original or new about this show. It's pretty much concepts and ideas that you've seen before in sci-fi. This show, just like Blade Runner and other things that came before it, asks the question about what does it mean to be human? What is life? And it also deals with the concept of immortality. It deals with how that ties into religious philosophies. There's a whole section of the populace that is built off of religious faith, and they don't like the idea of sleeves and eternal life. And so you have an uprising there. You have a little bit of rebellion going on. There's a whole bunch of interesting ideas that are tossed around in here that you've seen before, but never packaged together in a world as fascinating as this. I shit you not, there's even one scene where there's a married couple, and there are these rich people who pay them to fight to the death, and they're fighting to the death so that they can get upgraded sleeves and get more money for their children. And on one hand, it's kind of barbaric and really twisted and messed up to look at, but on the other hand, it's like, if this world existed, that's kind of how people would do things, right? Joel Kinnaman, I've never really been a huge fan of him as an actor. I've always thought he was just kind of meh or whatever, or bleh, and whatever he's been in. Joel Kinnaman was probably the best that I've ever seen him in this series. It helps that the character he's playing is a complete and total badass with a really mean scowl and a really bad attitude, but you can tell that this guy has emotional depth, and then the longer the season goes on, you start to see more of his past. You start to see how he got to here, how he got to be 250 years on ice, and it calls back certain things that he did as a soldier, as a mercenary in a past life. Joel Kinnaman does a great job at selling it. He has more range in this show than I have seen from him previously. Ortega, she was really badass too. She's a really tough, fierce, emotionally driven cop who, again, has some secret ties to Takashi Kovach's sleeve that I will not spoil. The story goes on for her. You start to find out that her interest in Kovach is not merely just because he's working or kind of tying loosely to a case that she was working on. You find out that there is a bigger story there. Just like with Blade Runner, just like with Altered Carbon, there's always a bigger story to tell. Probably my favorite character of the series isn't even a real person. My favorite character is this guy named Poe. Poe is an artificial intelligence thing that runs a hotel that Kovach is staying at. He's awesome. He's really fun. He provides the most funny moments, and he becomes like really devoted to Kovach and his entire crusade, his quest to figure out who killed Bancroft. And Bancroft, by the way, is played by James Purefoy. I only recognize him because he was on that show, that serial killer show, The Following, a few years ago on Fox. That's the only way I'd know him. He was really great in the series too. You've heard me say it before, you're going to hear me say it again. This series is eggs on a tit. It looks beautiful. I have no idea what the budget was for this show, but they poured every single thing they could in that budget into the quality of the show. This show looks amazing. The production design is almost flawless. The set design, the CGI that they use in the show looks really good. It's like movie material. Color palette, the lighting, everything visually about the show is really jaw-droppingly good. There's also some really great action sequences too. This is a very violent and bloody show, so just preparing you for that going in. Very violent, very bloody, very naked series as well. I mean, because there's a lot of nudity in the show. Listen to the producers and the creators of the show and the way they talk about it, and all the actors at some point had to like get naked and had to show their bodies. It's the future. Human bodies have become disposable. Sleeves are no longer looked at as essential. Human body is no longer essential. It makes more sense for there to be a more casual attitude towards nudity and towards naked because, again, you can dispose the human body. It's really looked at as nothing. As long as your stack is intact, you can switch bodies. So why worry so much about nudity? And I think that this paid off because Ortega got naked in one episode, and I was a happy camper. Like I said, it's a big story. It's a big mystery. As you're following Takashi Kovach and the cop Ortega on this journey of discovery, it does transition a little bit from complex to convoluted. There's a lot of things that you have to keep track of. There's a lot of things going on. They had spaced it out and balanced it out a little bit, balanced the flow of information at times instead of overloading you in a certain scene or a certain episode. I would have felt a little bit happier about how the mystery itself was resolved. It's a nitpick, but it is a thing that bothered me while watching the show. The biggest issue I really have with the show is the annoying voiceover. There's like this voiceover narration that plays at the beginning or at the end of episodes. It feels ham-fisted. Voiceovers just kind of take me out of it for a little bit because it's like they have to spoon feed and explain the themes that they're going for. Like, okay, well, you don't have to explain that shit to me. I get it. I'm not an idiot. I know what the episode is. If you had just done the shown, not tell route, I think I would have enjoyed that more. Altered Carbon is one of the best sci-fi series that I have seen in a very long time. It is visually striking. It is well acted. It has great characters. It has great and violent action scenes. It has a message. It has themes that you've seen before that are packaged in a really fascinating world with great world building and lore. Overall, the show was perfectly paced. There's a little bit of information overload at times, and I do think the voiceover took me out of the series for a little bit. But I love the show, and I can't wait for season 2. Please tell me that there is a season 2. I need there to be a season 2 of my life. Let's pop out that new TV rating system. I'm going to give Altered Carbon 4.5 out of 5 supers. Great show. Awesome show. You guys should check it out. Again, there's a lot that I didn't cover because I didn't want to spoil things. Check it out, and then maybe one day I will do a spoiler review for this, especially if we get a season 2 of Altered Carbon. Tell me, did you enjoy Altered Carbon? Have you seen it? What was your favorite point of the season? And also, have you read the books? And how faithful is it to the source material? I don't know. I haven't read the books. Stay tuned. I will have reviews for Game Night and Annihilation. Annihilation in particular, I'm very excited to talk about. I will have those up either tonight or tomorrow on my show. Follow me on Twitter at superfan_K. Please like and subscribe to the Superfan Show. And as always, if you like what you see, tell me how you feel, and stay tuned to hear more from the Man of Steel. Peace.